let's start with this tech dive session for June. Okay, here we have the agenda we have mentioned today. I will start with speaking about a little bit about what is HAI, why do we need HAI, what is the advantage of moving all your workloads from the cloud to the edge, these kind of things. Okay, to understand better what is Barbara and what are the functionality that it offers to you. And then we will focus on the latest features in the 3.3.0 version. And finally, we will see how to deploy an ignition with high availability. The total time estimated for this tech dive is 90 minutes. We will probably take less to do everything. So, well, let's start, okay? Now, let's start by the very beginning, okay? Just to, try to explain what is HAI and what is exactly or what are the benefits of moving your workload to be run from the cloud to the edge. And that is exactly what Barbara does. Barbara allows you to have several equipment located in the edge. When we're speaking about the edge, we're speaking about this area near where the data is being generated, normally in industrial plants or remote areas or whatever. So why should a Barbara customer want to run their application and run their AI model in the edge instead of doing it in the cloud? We have six reasons here that allow us to understand better what is the reason why they do that. Okay, so the first thing, and it's really obvious, but it's one of the most important topics, it is the privacy and data security. Okay, well, if your data is processed locally, okay, in a machine that is located inside your premises, the data will obviously never leave your private network, okay? And that is a good way of keeping everything private and secure, okay? That is the best way to avoiding others to see your data is just not moving them, not sending them to the cloud. I'm not saying that the cloud applications are not secure, okay? It is not true. They have a lot of good, functionalities to keep everything secure. But it is also true that like the 70% of the attacks are targeting the cloud instead of the edge. So at the end of the story, if you don't move your data, they will be more private, obviously, and also more secure. Then the second reason is if you need to handle a lot of data, high data volumes, okay, then the bandwidth costs are really high when you move all this data to the cloud and you process it there and then you receive the result. It is very, very expensive. So handling or managing all the data in the edge is a good way of spending less money in this kind of applications, okay? Then the third reason is the latency, okay? Obviously, if you don't have to send the data to the cloud and wait to the response, everything will be quicker because it will be happening in a machine that is just located near where your data is being generated. So the answer when we are speaking about the edge is milliseconds, okay? So it's much, much more quicker than sending everything to the cloud. Obviously, when you are doing that, okay, you only need to send some aggregated values at the end of this processing, okay? I take the data, I process it locally, I get some consolidated results, and that is the only thing I need to upload to the cloud at the end, okay? So that is why you will reduce the transfer cost, okay? Also, using the edge node, you can give support for remote areas, okay? Because you can operate reliably without a stable internet connection, okay? These edge devices can make autonomous decisions in location with limited or intermittent connectivity. That is very, very important. You don't have to rely on a good internet connection to make everything work fine. It is absolutely resilient, okay? So that is also a good reason. And finally, the autonomous response. Okay, they are related. Okay, you can cut the connection to the internet The process will keep working on the local machine, and everything will continue working without any need of an external internet connection. Okay, that is also very, very important when we were speaking about remote areas. So these are basically the reason why our customers choose Barbara to move their application and to move the AI model to from the cloud to the edge. Okay, and that is exactly what Barbara allows you to do. Okay, we can have a lot of different equipment located all over the world. Okay, and then we can use Barbara to manage all this equipment, all this system, and not only control them or keeping them updated with the latest firmware version or with the latest configuration. We're talking about network communication, all this kind of thing. I can also deploy application, and I can also deploy AI model remotely from a single central location in a single click, okay, which is very important. That is exactly what Barbara does. Okay, so how do we do that? Let me show you the typical architecture of Barbara, okay, where we can see that we have different edge nodes. What is an edge node? An edge node is this blue box we have here, okay? When we are speaking about an edge node, we can be speaking about an industrial PC, okay, a physical industrial PC, or a virtual machine. Okay, when we say industrial PCs, we are hardware agnostic. That is also one of the best characteristics of Barbara. We can run any device that is based on Intel or ARM architecture. Okay, so this is for industrial PCs. In the case of virtual machine, we can handle KVM, VMware, and Hyper-V virtual machine. Okay, so we have these devices, these edge nodes, uh, spread all over the world, and all of them are running this thing here. This is a Barbara core. What is the Barbara core? The Barbara core is the firmware that the Barbara edge node uses. Okay, it is an operating system developed internally in Barbara, and it is designed from the very beginning to be cyber secure. Okay, so once you install this firmware in this device, it will have no open port. All the communication will be going on secure. You will have file encryption. You will have secure boot, TPM support, a lot of different cybersecurity functionalities that make this device to be compatible with the AIC 62443 specification for industrial environment. Okay, then this device with the Barbara core connects to the platform itself, and the platform is composed by the API. Okay, we have the API, and about we have panel, which is the interface we will use for controlling all my edge node, and I will have the marketplace for the marketplace is basically an application hub that contains over 150 different applications ready to be deployed in a single click in our edge nodes. Okay, so this is the way we work. You can use panel to select devices, to select application from the marketplace, to deploy them here, and then using this application, you can get data, read data from the outer world, storing them locally, maybe using a database, processing them using Node-RED or any AI model, and then pushing some of the aggregated value to any remote level solution that the customer may have. Okay, this plane here is very important because, as you can see, it separates what we call the orchestration plane or the control plane from the solution plane. Okay, what does it mean? It means that Barbara lives in the orchestration plane where you will see maybe information about this machine, you will see information about each configuration, about this application that is deployed here, or the logs of this application, but you will never see any data related to the user. Okay, the data related to the user lives in this side of the plane, and they are managed by this application. So it is never stored in the Barbara platform, which is very convenient for assuring the privacy and the security of your deployed architecture. Okay, finally, just to finish, let me indicate that the platform itself can be deployed either on cloud, okay, and today we are going to use a cloud version of the platform, but we can also use a non-prem installation, okay, that is not a problem. We can offer our customer a private instance of this platform to be installed on their premises, okay. So let me show you basically panel, let me show you marketplace, let me show you how can we work with a device, and let me show you how to deploy something very basic, like for example a database, to see the basic behavior and the basic way of working with Barbara before going to the new functionality 330. Okay, so let's do that. I will just move from here to here. Okay, and well, as you can see here, we have panel, we have all the edge nodes we have available here in this organization. We can see where are they located in the map. Remember, every one of these devices, we have 22 devices here, okay? They are all virtual machine or industrial PCs, okay? What kind of devices can we run with Barbara Core? Here you have the full list of the devices compatible with Barbara. And well, in order to use one new device from this list, you just need to select the device you want to add. For example, this one from TNT. You can download here the Barbara Core, okay? And then you install the Barbara Core in the device, and it will, at the end of the installation process, it will give you an ID, and using that ID, you can add a new node this way, okay? So once you have this equipment here, you can enter, and you can see all the, parameters and characteristics of this machine, okay? Starting from the network card, where you can control everything related to network communication. Here, for example, we can see we have 5 interfaces, 4 Ethernet interfaces, 1 mobile interface. We can also find a VPN that will allow me to access remotely the service. I can use proxies. I can use a standalone mode. Let's speak about this later in the new functionalities from this version, and also to control the IP tables. Okay, so everything is here. You can control anything related to the networking of this device. You can have a quick look at the telemetry with all the consumption, resource consumption of this device on real time. You have the analytic card that shows you the same information, but in a graphical way, okay? And then, well, you have the volume, the secret, everything is here. So let's move to this part. Well, before we will see it later also, the Barbara Core update, the way of updating this firmware of the device, okay? But as you can see, you can check what is the firmware you're having in this device, and you can reinstall it or even install again whenever there is a one new version, okay? You can also control the life cycle of your edge node. You can prune any item related to Docker, okay? So that's more or less all you can do here. And then let's move to this workloads area here is the part where we can deploy applications, we can deploy AI models, okay? And I will show you the marketplace that we spoke before, okay? Well, in fact, we have it here, the marketplace, okay? It has a lot of different categories with a lot of different kind of application, okay? So in the industrial area, we have connector to read data from external data sources using protocol, industrial protocol. We have integration with third-party system. We have connector to send data to the cloud. Here you will find any kind of application that allow you to read information or write it somewhere else, okay? Here you have all these possibilities, integration with Neuron, integration with Litmus, with Ignition, with Aviva, a lot of different possibilities here, okay? Then we have the storage solution that contains normally databases that you can use to store the information in the edge node. You will find the business intelligence category with applications that allow you to process and analyze and visualize the data. We have an IT tool category with plenty of different applications that allow you to debug or use certificate or check the health of your application locally, connectivity tester, well, a lot of different possibilities here to help you to work with the data. We have also an AI category that contains a lot of different AI models and AI tools to run AI in the edge, okay? And finally, virtual machine that you can also use to be deployed on the edge node. Okay, so this is what you can get from the marketplace, which is plenty a lot. Now, what I will do is showing you how can we deploy a basic database. I will use InfluxDB. Okay, the InfluxDB database is really simple. Well, it's a really good database to work with real-time series. Okay, here we have all the information about the application, and we have the technical note with all the information on how to configure everything. Okay. At the end, when I want to deploy this application, I have to check that it is already in my library, okay? In case it's not, you just have a button here that you can add to your library, just pressing here this button, okay? And then once you have it in your library, you just need to click here in panel deploy, search it here, InfluxDB, okay, and now I can select the different versions that are published in the marketplace, and I have this wizard that help me to basically configure everything related to this application, okay? Then I can obviously change also the compose config, and I can deploy that application remotely, as you can see. So now I will have here a new card with the name of the application, the version, I can see the status, I can stop and start the service remotely. I can update the version. I can modify any parameter again if I need that. Okay, and finally here I have the logs of this application on real time. Okay, and with the logs, I just need to check here that I have the URLs to open this service remotely. In case you are in the same local area network than the device, you can use this one. Okay, this URL is using the local IP of the device. Okay, you can check the local IP and the VPN IP here. Okay, in the network card, you have here the local IP, here the VPN IP. Okay, and they are the ones that we are seeing here, the local VPN. Okay, well, I can use this one because now I am in the same local network, so I can just click here, and this way I can enter this InfluxDB database and start working with that, okay? But even more, if I am not in the same local area network, I just need to connect my laptop to the to panel, and then just clicking here, I will access exactly the same place using, in this case, the VPN, okay? So we have both options compatible. Regarding the VPN, everything is explained in the marketplace. I will get that opportunity to show you the marketplace where everything, we have our knowledge base with all the information about the platform. You just need to search here for VPN, and you can see the way to configure the VPN, okay, the way of downloading WireGuard, which is the client we use locally in my laptop to be connected to the VPN, to connect your laptop to the VPN, and then you know how to download the user configuration file. You can go here and check that you have the VPN config here that you can download to establish this communication. Okay, so well, this is the way of working with Barbara. It's just a simple example. Okay, obviously we can do the same when we are selecting a lot of different edge nodes in parallel. That is one of the most powerful thing about the platform. I just need to select as many edge nodes as I want, and then I can, for example, indicate, I don't know, I want to install an OpenCUA connector, for example. An OpenCUA connector with this version, okay, and this way I will be installing the same application, in this case, which is an OpenCUA connector, an application that allows you to read OpenCUA data from an OpenCUA server, and set the data or move the data into the edge node. I will install it on 22 different machines, as you can see. Okay, so well, this is the way of controlling your deployment, your full deployment of devices using the bash command manager. Okay, the bash command in general. Here I can select not only installing an application or configuring an application, I can do anything from activating or rebooting the device to changing any configuration to installing, configuring, or updating any application, or even updating the firmware. Okay, so well, this is the functionality of Barbara. We have one more functionality that is very interesting, which is the clusters, okay? And we will use it later, okay? Because when we are speaking about high availability, we need to speak about clusters, okay? Uh, let's go to this part later when we do the deployment of Ignition, okay? And now let's focus on the new functionalities we have on this new version, okay? So let me present it again. And okay, here we are. So, as I mentioned before, last Tuesday we moved to production this latest version of Panel. Okay, what does it include? Well, it has some new important functionalities. The first one, until now we had different elements when we are speaking about updating a device, okay? We had the OS and then we had the node manager or the agent. They were different pieces, okay? You have the OS, which is this OS based on Linux, etc. And then we have the agent or the node manager, which was an application running on top of this OS that was communicating with Panel and was applying every command received and so on and so forth. Okay. So now, what is the difference? We don't have two different elements. We have just the same one, which is just the Barbara core, which includes both. Okay. So now we have this unified firmware package. So we don't have dependencies between them. Before, sometimes you wanted to update the node manager and you had to update before the OS because you have some dependency between them. So it is not happening now. You have only one thing to install and you can do it directly in one step, as you can see here. You just need to install the new Barbara core to go to the latest release. You don't have intermediate version. You don't have any of these problems that we mentioned. Okay, so we can do that, and basically we can also well, we have a transparent update process where you can see the status where the installation is, so you can easily follow the process on your device from the update launch to the reboot after having applied. Okay. Even more, there is one thing very important here. Okay, because as you can see now, until now, we have uh, only the possibility to launch the update command, and that's all. Okay. Well, it has some problem. For example, imagine your device is well, it's doing some tasks as normal, and you need to well, you need to update the device or update the firmware of the device at a specific timing, okay? Because this is the proper timing for applying it, okay? You didn't have the way of scheduling these updates, okay? So now you can. Now you can select where you want the device to be updated, when you want the device to be updated. You can select a date and a time, so that way the device will be updated at this specific time, okay? And you don't have to do it manually. But even more, the updates are now in two phases, okay? Because before, uh, when you select update, before you downloaded the image, and once the image is downloaded, then you apply it. Okay. If we are speaking about a machine that is having a good internet connection and a good bandwidth, maybe it is taking about 1 minute. Okay, but we have some situation in which our edge node are not having this good bandwidth condition in their internet connection. Okay, so this way they took a lot of time to download everything and then apply it. Okay, even more. Imagine you have 1,000 devices and you download 1,000 images at the same time. They can collapse your network. Now you can program also where you will be, when you will be downloading the image, and once it has been downloaded, then you can apply it. Okay, so you can schedule everything with different parts. Okay, now before you can download everything, and when it's downloaded and available to be updated, then you can update it. Okay, so that way you have these two-phase updates. You have zero downtime scheduling because really, well, obviously, every time you apply an update, you need to reboot your device. But if you're using a clustering, as we mentioned before, if your device is part of a cluster, then you will have no downtime because the application will move to all the available edge node in the cluster before when the edge node is updating. Okay, so you will see no downtimes in your services, and also when we are speaking about edge node with poor connectivity or poor bandwidth connectivity, we have a better bandwidth control. Okay, so that way we can select where do we want to download the image and also select where do we want to apply it. Okay, so this is the first option. Let me show you how can we do that now, because as you will see, we have some equipment here, for example, this one, okay, where I will see I have now in the update option, you can see now we have only one Barbara core, okay, as we mentioned before, and I can schedule where do I want to reinstall it or if I want to reinstall now. So we have this possibility. And check here that now I can press here download, and this way it will start downloading right now. Okay, so it is also very important. I can cancel it whenever I want, so I can control where I want or when I want to download the firmware that will be installed. And while we have this image um, in the edge node, then I will be able to again reinstall it now or schedule. Check, I can delete the image downloaded if I need that. So all the possibilities are here. Okay. Well, that is related to the Barbara Core update and the OTA, the first OTA, or the scheduling of applying the OTA. Let's continue. Okay. What is the next thing I want to show you? That is the standalone access. Yes. We have the standalone access before. This is one of the less known functionalities that we have in our edge nodes, but it basically allow you to control or to configure some parameters in the edge node, even if it is not connected to panel. Okay, and it is very important when we are deploying the devices, when we're installing physically the devices. It is very common that we go to some place to put a device, and imagine I need to change some IP or the gateway or whatever because I need to modify the communication of the device before connecting it to panel. Okay, it is very important. In that case, I cannot use panel to control the communication of the device. Okay, I have to do it locally. Okay, so the standalone mode or the standalone access, it is a mode that you can enable in panel. So that way the edge node has it enabled, and then you can locally access this screen to control all the communication. So that way you can change any configuration necessary to make this device to be connected to panel. Once you have it connected to panel, you can turn off the standalone mode again, and then you can continue working normally with that. Okay, let me show you how to do that, but we are going to focus today because on these three functionalities that were not available before in this standalone access mode. Okay, the first one is the proxy settings. Now we can configure the proxy directly from Barbara Core. Okay, we can also change the NTP server configuration, and we can also see the modem diagnostic. So this way, if we are having troubles with the network, we have a lot of information here about what can be happening. Okay, so let me show you how can we access to this standalone mode? How can we activate it? How can we work with that? Okay, so let's move here again. I will just show you. I have another device that I will use for that, I think it's this one. Okay, yeah, we have it. Okay, so normally I will just turn it off. Okay, normally you start in this situation. Okay, you have an edge node. Imagine you have this edge node in well, you want to install this device in any specific location where you cannot, you need to configure it before it can connect to panel. Okay. So what I will do is basically going to the network, okay, card and indicating I want to activate the standalone mode. Okay. I have it here, the standalone mode, and I can edit the configuration, show credential, or turn it on. Okay, I'm going to turn it on. Okay, so now I have sent the command to, here we have it, to the standalone mode. Okay, and now in the configuration, I have several possibilities. The first one is selecting, because I have different interfaces. Check, I have in fact three interfaces, an Ethernet interface, a Wi-Fi interface, and a mobile interface. Mobile interface is not available for standalone for just because a normal reason. Okay, so but we can use this interface or this one to access the device in the local network. Okay, so what we have done here is enabling it for these two interfaces. Okay, if I set any, it means that the edge mode is available in any interface. Okay, so once we have it enabled, I check again that this device is in my local area network. Okay, my laptop and this device are in the same local area network. So now, when the standalone mode is enabled, check what happened. Okay, I can just select the Ethernet interface. Okay, and click here to open this URL, which is basically the IP of my edge node in the local area network, the port 4010, and then login. And here I can see a way to access in the configuration of the device locally. Okay, I am not using panel to do that. Okay, instead of changing something here, I am doing it from this side, okay? And now, what I need to access here in this standalone mode, I need to click here, show credentials. So now I just need to copy this username. I just need to copy this password, okay? And this way I can log in and I can see that now I have this new interface when I can see all the information available here, okay, in this card. It is also available here and it is located um, in the local area network. So this way, if I need to change something, I can do it from here. Okay, I can change the Ethernet, I can change the Wi-Fi, all the possibilities are here also. And we have new options. For example, we have the options of changing the proxy, as you can see here. We can see also the possibility of seeing the information of the modem. As you can see, we can see we're using a Sinjo, SIM card, the IP and everything related to the modem is here. Okay, and we can also, well, we can set all the configurations. Okay, are here available to be set up. Okay, so this is the way of accessing Barbara Standalone and configuring everything from here. Check that whenever the standalone mode is on, okay, if I go back to panel and I try to change something, imagine I want to change the metric from 10 to 20, okay, and I do save, and I do this, you will get here, this operation cannot be performed on a standalone mode, okay? So when the standalone mode is on, you cannot use this card, okay? Finally, when you have finished configure everything from here, okay, you just need to um, turn it off, okay? I will send the command to deactivate the standalone mode, okay? And now check that this website is not available, okay? So as you can see now, we are not seeing anything on this URL. We have deactivated this mode, and now I can do that. And now I can go back here and change this from 10 to 20 without any kind of problem, okay? So this is the way of working with the standalone mode, okay? And these are the new functionalities we have in the standalone mode for configuring the network. Again, when do you need that? When you're installing something and you don't have access to panel. If you don't have access to panel, you cannot configure anything. So what do you do? What do? You connect the device to panel before installing it. You activate here the standalone mode. Once the edge node with the standalone mode is activated, you can move this device to any place and install it somewhere. And then you can access locally to this standalone interface for controlling all the information you have here. One, you have connection to the internet. You can disable the standalone mode, and then you can obviously start using the normal network card. Okay, so what? This is the normal way of working. Let's continue. We have some more functionalities. Well, this is the third one that we have here, which is very important because maybe you have noticed that the ones of you that are using the platform now, the second factor authentication, the two-factor authentication is mandatory for every user. Okay, so until now it was an option. This was an optional feature, but but now it's absolutely mandatory, and you can well, the first time you enter in panel, you will need to put a second code that the system will send you using email verification. But once you have this done, you can upgrade this functionality to use an authenticator application. You can use a Google Authenticator, Authy, or whatever else. Okay, so this is also an option. Let me show you how can we do that. Okay, so here, for example, we have my profile here, okay? And in my profile, I can see that I have the switch to FA method here. Okay, so I just need to click here and I can select if I want to keep using the email code verification or if I want to use a mobile app code verification. If I select this, I will be shown a QR code that I will capture with my application, and I will be using the application this way. Okay, that is also another of the features we have. And well, what else do we have here? We have, well, we have some other small improvements in the platform. Okay, the audit log screen, you know, the audit log is where every command sent by every user is registered, so you can check it, these audit logs, in case something happened, to see what command caused the problem, who launched that command, all that information. So we have redesigned the way the information is being shown, okay, and we are showing more information because we have included actions that are new from latest updates, okay. So now we have a lot of more commands that will be registered in the audit log, okay. By the way, not only the information is being improved, we are going also to change the complete audit log view. Okay, we are going to redesign it, but it will not be available in this version, but in the next one. Okay, so it will be something that will improve in the next version. We have done a lot of API enhancements, okay, because we wanted our users that work with the API, we want their life to be easier. So we have done some improvement in the way of working with the API, especially for developers. Well, we have different fixes for improving the quality of life of our user, and basically we have targeted also some bug fixes. Okay, that is more or less the full 3.3.0 version that we have just in production. And by the way, we have another one which is in QA, which include the audit log, which includes a lot of more functionalities that will be presented in the next weeks. Okay, so that's all from the 3.3.0 version, and it is now time for showing you how to deploy Ignition. Okay, so my proposal is I will deploy the Ignition cluster, and at the same time, I will be doing the same with the normal Ignition. Okay, so we can see more or less the differences. Okay, and let's do that very quickly. Okay, remember when we are speaking about Ignition with high availability, where we're saying is okay, if I deploy Ignition in a single edge node, let's do that. Okay, we have this edge node here that we have used to deploy the InfluxDB. What I can do now is just deploy a normal Ignition instance. Okay, Ignition standard. This is okay. So I can do this. Okay, I can deploy this application, select the version. I can configure the username, the password. I can add my license key here. Okay, my token. I have to accept the EULA, the agreement, the license agreement. Okay, and then when we have it, I can also set if I have, for example, I have a way of, I have an image. Where I have it? Let me search for it. I have an image that I want to, an application that I want to pre-install in this Ignition instance. That is why we use this here, this bootstrap mode. Okay, so if I select this bootstrap to true, I can put here a URL where my image is. Okay, so for example, here I have in my drive. Okay, let me show it to you because I have it in another. Well, let's put it here. I have here this image, which is basically a backup of Ignition. Okay, and I just need to copy the link where this image is. Okay, and that way I just need to go back to panel and put this URL here. That way, this Ignition will, on the installation, will go to this URL, will go to my drive, will download the image, the backup image, and will apply it to the Ignition standard image. Okay, then I can I can set user and password for HTTP, for SMB, a lot of different things. Okay, so I will just leave it at this. Then here is where we can select what volumes are we going to use for the Ignition, the different ports I'm going to use, okay? And that way I will send it, and we will see in some second we have an Ignition standard instance. It is building, okay? And it will take some time to be ready, okay? So that is a possibility we have to deploy Ignition in the normal way, but we are deploying this Ignition in just a single edge node, okay? Well, that is not bad, but if I want to have high availability in my Ignition service, I cannot rely on a single edge node, okay? Because if this edge node, if this Advantage machine has any problem, a hardware problem or power supply problem or whatever, both the InfluxDB and the Ignition standard will obviously be interrupted, okay? So I don't want that to happen. I want this service to be running without any kind of interruption. Let me check because I think it is downloading. Yes, it's downloading the images. Well, it will be reading in some second. In the meantime, let me show you. Here we have this clustering option, okay? Here we can create cluster. What is a cluster? A cluster is a group of edge nodes that basically are running together as a group, synchronized. So if I deploy an application on this cluster, I can select, I can have high availability because the data and the application are shared among all the edge nodes in the cluster. Okay, so that is what we are going to do right now. We are going to use this cluster to deploy a Ignition instance, but with high availability. Okay, in this case, what I need to do is deploy an ignition cluster standard edition. It is a little bit different, okay? Let's see the difference we have. Okay, for example, we have the HTTP port and the HTTPS port, okay? This way, I can use both of them. We have also the different port. Check, we have different service, okay? We have the traffic, which is basically the proxy that is receiving the request and forwarding it to the correct machine in the cluster that is running the service. Then we have two different gateways, the gateway one and the gateway replicated, let's say, okay? So these are like two images of ignition that are synchronized. So we have the proxy, the two images, and then we have the service, which is basically for initiating the values, okay? So let's configure that, okay? I just need to select here, for example, self-signed, to select a way of using auto-certificate, okay? And well, nothing else around here. We have this HTTP port, we have the HTTPS port, we have the ignition gateway. Then let's move to here to this gateway where I can put the license key or the token. If I want to disable the quick start, I have to select here yes to accept the agreement. Okay, so it seems to be correct here. In this second image, in this second gateway, everything is replicated, so there is nothing I need to put here. Okay, and then basically at the end, we don't have anything else. Okay, so with this configuration, I just will move and I have to indicate that I want to use some specific volumes. Okay, so I will use the volume one for the traffic service. Okay, here I will use the volume 2, and here I will use the volume 3. Why these volumes? Okay, because I will show you now. Well, one more important thing before going to the volume part, but basically I have created volume 1, volume 2, and volume 3 in the cluster. They are shared volumes, okay? They are volumes that are shared among all the agents in the cluster. That is why I need to select them, okay? I will show you just in 1 second how to create this volume before setting them here, okay? And finally, I have also to select how many replicas I want to do. In the traffic service, I need to indicate I want to use a global mode. That means that we have a proxy instance in every different device. I have 3 devices, so I will have 3 different traffic instance. And then I will have only one gateway master, only one gateway slave, and only one Beaver init service. So this way, I will send this application and it will start downloading everything. And this way, I will see that at the end, I will have the two where we are creating all the services, but at the end we will have everything launched and available. Let me show you where do we create these volumes. Okay, you can see here this volume card. We have created the volume 1, the volume 2, and the volume 3. Okay, and check they are under use right now. I can see here that they are being used. The volume 1 is being used by traffic. The volume 2 is being used by ignition data, and the volume 3 is being used by also ignition data for the other image. Okay, if I want to create a volume this way, if I want to create a shared volume, I just need to add, for example, volume 4 if I need it. Okay, I just need to do that, and this way I can see it here. Okay, this is not in use, and that is why I can delete that. Okay, let's do that. Let's delete this volume. So now we have, well, we have the ignition that had been, it seems that had been deployed. So now I could just, in order to access the ignition, I just need to use this IP from my cluster. Check it, okay? So I just need to copy and here with the port, with the normal port, sorry, uh, the traffic service will forward me to the secure mode, okay, and we are using uh, a traffic certificate, traffic default certificate. Okay, that is because I didn't use a correct certificate. That is used the self-signed option, but it's working at the end. But nobody can see this connection. But at the end, if you want to use secure communication, you just need to indicate the right certificate, which I didn't. Okay, so I can access here, and this way, well, it is not available at this moment. It will take some seconds, okay, but I can do something different here. For example, indicating this way. It's seeing this is taking some time to launch everything. Okay. Okay. So well, at the end, we can see we have the services here. Okay. And I can, well, it is taking longer than expected to launch the services. Okay, because it is not still not ready. Okay, it will take a little bit longer to deploy these both gateways. Okay, I suppose. So yeah, we have it. Okay. So in the meantime, while it is launching the services, I can let me check if I can access now. No, it's not available. It will take a lot of time because it has to download everything. That is why I wanted to see this another one, which is basically the standard solution where we can do the same. We can click here, and now, in fact, yeah, we have the Ignition instance interface where I can just set my username, set my password. Okay, and this way I can well, I can enter here, and I can see that we have these images here. Okay, with all the information, and I show you the way of applying an image. We have also the possibility to do it here in the backup and restore. Okay, so when I don't want to download the backup, I want to show you how to restore, which is here. Okay, so I should normally just need to select here. Uh, I don't know if I have any image. Here we have it, this one, okay? So after selecting this, I can restore the gateway. And it is the same thing I did before in the automatic way, but just selecting the restore of the gateway here, okay? So, well, this is the two ways of deploying the Ignition instance. Okay, one is with a single instance this way. The other way of is using the cluster edition. Okay, in the cluster edition check, we need to use a cluster. Okay, and deploy the image on the cluster. Then check the steps are first of all selecting three volumes. Okay, so you have three volumes that you have to create. Okay, then once the volumes are created, we just need to enter here in this, deploying the application and configuring it for using these volumes, hard for using the proxies and that's all. Okay. And now what we can do, let me check if I can enter this way. Okay. Okay, here we are. And I can see we have this 88, but at the end it is still downloading and applying all the changes, so we cannot enter because of that. Okay, so it was just a question of waiting a little more time to make this edge available. Here we can see the services. Okay, the gateway one is starting right now and running. Okay, the gateway two, which is here, is also started or starting, and then we have the traffic, which is one per different one per edge node in the cluster, and then the BBR in it. So at the end, I could be no, but it is still starting. Sorry about that. It will take longer than I suppose it. Okay, and this way, okay. Now we have. This is the other instance, okay, the single instance, but at the end it is the same, okay? What we will see in the cluster is that we can access, well, you access the traffic and the traffic sends you to the master instance of the ignition, okay? So, well, that's all from this example. I don't know, it's taking longer than I thought, okay? It's taking longer than I thought. Let me check it again. Well, I will use this port, but no, it's still not available. It will take longer. Okay, so well, that is what I wanted to show you, the possibility. You will find checks in the marketplace. If you search now for ignition, you will see that now we have 4 different images. We have ignition edge, ignition standard, which are the normal applications that are deployed on just one edge node. But then we have the ignition cluster edge edition and the ignition cluster standard edition, which are used for high availability using clusters. Okay, so these are the only difference. Okay, so at the end, you have to select this one for installation in just a single node, or these ones for installation in a group of nodes in a cluster. Okay, so well, I think that is at the end, that is everything I wanted to show to you today in the presentation. Okay, and well, I want to know if you have any more question or you have anything you want to comment. Okay, in case you have sent some Q&A question. I don't know, Juan. Do we have something?
We did have one question, but it was responded directly on the chat. Anyway, it's worth it to mention. There was a question about how to back up all your nodes configuration of applications. So, for example, if something happens with your node, you can move all that data, well, especially at that configuration of applications that you have already deployed, into a new node. The answer, for those of you that haven't read the answer in written, the answer is that there is no native feature yet in the web UI, so in the interface, which is coming, by the way. It's a feature that it's coming expected at the end of the year. But you can always do this using the API. So it's not complex to make a script that using the API can create that clone, let's say that backup that you can easily then move into another device. Any of you that has or wants to implement that and you don't know how, you can always contact us and we will arrange a short meeting to explain you how to do it. Apart from that, I don't see any other questions. So there is nothing else on the chat.
Okay, great. So well, that's from my side in this tech dive. Okay, we'll keep in contact, and that's all. Okay.
Thank you, Enrique. We will send all the participants the recording of this meeting just in case they want to share it with their colleagues or they want to re-experience this session. And any doubt that you have afterwards or after reviewing again the video, don't hesitate to contact us or contact your local Barbara manager, and we will be happy to assist you on any other question.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you very much and have a nice day.
Bye bye.
Bye.